Hello again, everybody. My name is Mike Petraglia. This is Jimmy Toscano.
What's up, brother?
And this is Josue Pavon. Give me a fist pound. You're a little bit sick, but I won't kill you for it.
Yeah.
You know what? You were very cautious earlier,
outside
so I didn't want to
I
get you
was, for good reason. I
Hand
like to stay
sanitizer.
healthy. This is the CLNS Media Garden Report from CLNS Media World Headquarters in Boston. This is also powered by DraftKings.com. Use promo code CLNS for one free match play. Go to DraftKings.com. All right, gentlemen. Panic in Celtics Nation. Panic all around Green Street. Panic everywhere where there is a Celtics fan watching basketball. Okay, 4-game losing streak. Biggest concern I have about this 4-game losing streak and what it's really revealed is something we've seen the last couple of years. The Celtics are not rebounding. They're not protecting the paint. They're not protecting the rim. And you know, they've been really manhandled. They were manhandled in that third quarter loss to loss to Orlando in the third quarter on Sunday. The Lakers did the same thing. Even Brad Stevens after the game on Monday night said that, or Tuesday night I should say, said that their guards were better rebounders than our bigs, and that can't happen. So, Jimmy, I'll start with you. How do the Celtics go about fixing this before we even talk about getting a trade?
That's a great question. I mean, just going back to some of your examples, even let's think about New Orleans. I mean, what Davis and Cousins did to them, very frustrating on Tuesday night in L.A., fourth quarter. How many second chance rebounds did they get in the end of that fourth quarter there that allowed the Lakers to take that lead? And, you know, obviously the smart shot came up short. But it was very frustrating just to see the lack of aggressiveness that you want to see on the boards. When I think you become a team that's too worried about scoring, you tend to not want to focus on how you get the ball, but what you do once you have the ball. So if you're already thinking about the next play, what you're going to do on the offensive end, you're not putting in the effort in on the defensive side. They've never been a great rebounding team. This year hasn't been as glaring as other years. Clearly, I think Baines has been a great addition, but he doesn't play.
More about attitude,
Yeah,
I thought Baines was more than anything else.
Sure, I would agree, and I think they need more guys like that. Horford's not that aggressive rebounder, although he will he will give you 8 on a good night, but they don't have that force down low. So it's going to come down to just who wants it more. A lot of times that's what it is on rebounds and on defense is it's attitude. And I think last year they did lose some of that attitude when they lost Crowder, when they lost Bradley, guys that not necessarily are ripping down boards left and right, but even Thomas, they provide that toughness that you need to have if you want to be more active in that part of the game.
Okay. That's Boogie Cousins, and that was Anthony Davis. Everybody understood that in that loss to the Pelicans. Right. 2 days later, you and I were there. We talked about it post-game after the 76ers really dominated, I thought, the Celtics for a good part of that game. Obviously, they were up 21 points. The 76ers didn't quite accomplish what they normally do, and that's blow a big lead to the Celtics. But still, they're big men. Joel Embiid was able to dominate. And I want to get your take, Josue, on what you think the Celtics can do with the existing players. I look at Aaron Baines in that lineup right now, and I understand it's not who you start the game with, it's who you finish, but he's not giving them a lot of big-time minutes.
Yeah, we're not seeing that over in London. And ever since then, it seems like the Celtics have been in like this slump. You know what I mean? They haven't really, especially offensively, you know?
But I want to get into that a little bit, too, because somebody brought this up to me today, and I thought there was some legitimacy to it. The Celtics lost a lot of their mojo and a lot of their rhythm, and maybe they would have anyway because they were bound to hit some sort of wall, just like Jason Tatum was expected to hit a rookie wall that everybody's talking about now. But that London trip, Jimmy, how much of an impact do you think it had on the rhythm and what they had going before? You know, they were 34-10 or 33-10. They go over to London, win the game. They're 34-10 and haven't been the same since.
It's crazy because I thought it would have a different effect. I thought that they were kind of struggling into that game as they were coming down the stretch, and you looked and you said, oh, my God, these guys have played like 6-7 more games than some of these other teams in the NBA. They were cramming those games in, and the whole story was, well, they haven't had the days off. They haven't had time to practice. Once we get to London, we'll have all this time off. We'll be able to reset a little bit, have a couple of days to ourselves, come back a little bit calibrated, almost like a mini all-star break, if you will. Hasn't been the case. I don't know if it's just like a crazy jet lag situation going on here
Right.
or what, but they're in a rut, and every team goes through a rut. You can't expect them to keep winning at the clip that they were winning. I mean, they blew away everybody's expectations to begin the season, and I think now it's starting to come full circle
They're
a little
finding
bit.
level water.
Sure, and I think that they're not as bad as they're playing now, but they weren't as good as while they were playing to
I think
begin
the
the
effort
year.
level is what concerns me the most. You know what I mean? I mean, you got. I get it. Okay, they're young guys, specifically Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. I mean, they're a much tougher team,
There's
and those guys are
effort.
very effective.
There's effort, and not to cut you off, Josue, there's effort and there's energy. What I think is really missing is the energy, and that's why they're getting killed in the paint. That's why they're getting killed on the glass.
Okay, well, where does that energy come from, Trags? I mean, who's really coming out of the bench and really producing?
Well,
I mean, Marcus Smart had himself a good game.
When they
don't get
were
me wrong,
playing
against the
well, it
Lakers.
was Marcus Smart and Terry Rozier. Everybody, including yours truly, was raving about the energy those two players
And we're not
bringing
seeing
off
that
the bench.
anymore.
No.
It wasn't
Marcus
just that,
Morris
though.
is still
It was
being
also
consistent.
Tatum. It was also Brown.
Yeah, those two guys are crucial.
were playing way above everyone's expectations, way above, and they're all coming back down to earth a little bit.
They leveled
Kyrie had he had a little bit slow start to his season, but then he was playing out of this world. Now he's kind of looks like dealing with a little bit of an injury. So obviously one of the games they lost, he didn't play. They got absolutely murdered in that game. That's a concern because you don't want it to turn into last season where it was Isaiah Thomas and nobody.